Metropolis today is valued about 10,000 crore. What comes to your mind when you hear this?
First thing that comes to my mind is, why is it not 18,000 crores?
Long before healthcare was crowded with IPOs and big brands, there was one man quietly setting up a 300 square feet lab in Mumbai. His name? Dr. Sushil Shah, pathologist pioneer, founder and chairman emeritus of Metropolis Healthcare.
I started a lab in the kitchen of the hospital, and that's how it got started. So in 1.5 years, I had more than 2,000 collection centers across India. We didn't have any money at home. My father in those days used to earn 1,000 rupees a month. I've never borrowed a single penny. I've just managed everything with my own funds.
Joining me in this conversation is my co-host, Dr. Mukesh Gupta, a leading obstetrician gynecologist with passion for both medicine and finance.
You know, if you want to scale up, scaling requires time, effort, energy, money.
Today, we asked him how he built his empire and the biggest scale-up lessons he learned along the way. If a doctor who's running a clinic, what are 2 or 3 top advices you would give the doctor?
So first thing, institutionalize. Make your practice into a brand equity. Make it grow. Then second thing was,
Welcome to Medical Monarchs, an exclusive podcast series that dives into the journeys, values, and legacy of India's most iconic names in healthcare. Dr. Shah, Metropolis today is valued about 10,000 crore. What comes to your mind when you hear this? The first thing that comes to your mind?
well, the first thing that comes to my mind is, why is it not 18,000 crores? And why is it less than 10,000? Because I feel that with our journey and keeping track with our competitors who were there, we should have been around in that range.
Take me to the moment, first time when you signed for your first lab, which was 300 square feet back in 1981. If you were to relive that day, and what was in your bank account on that day when you were taking this big risk of signing up for your first laboratory?
No, I didn't sign up. The fact is, that time we used to have one small nursing home at Ameera house. And that was a small hospital my father had taken from a friend of his for me, thinking that I'll become a doctor and I might want to use it. So he had taken it as a small nursing home, at about 12 bedded hospital it was. So I thought, when I felt that I was ready now to start my own laboratory, I said I will start it over there. But my wife, who is also a gynecologist, she said, no, there is no place for you, because if we cut down the nursing home less than 12 beds, then it will be totally uneconomical, because we were running it as a open nursing home where all the other doctors used to come. So the whole nursing home survived on the income of people who brought the patients. So she said, if we have got less than 12 beds, it is going to be non-economical. So we have no place for your laboratory over here. So then after some time, we reached a conclusion. She said, okay, what I can do is, I can give you the kitchen of the hospital. You start the lab in the kitchen. That was not 300 but 100 square feet. And I started the lab in the kitchen of the hospital. And that's how it got started.
Oh, so from starting from 100 square feet in kitchen to now 10,000 crore journey,
Yes.
phenomenal.
So, this is little different or maybe rebellious. You had your father's clinic, you had a nursing home which was already taken by your father, and then you chose not to run the hospital or not to pick up a subject of that thing. Was it not something which you found people opposing to at that time?
Almost everybody advised against that
Uh-huh.
in the beginning. To be frank, actually, to begin with, I didn't want to join medicine. I was absolutely not at all in favor of joining
So
medicine.
nobody's going to believe that with the kind of success you achieved yourself.
I'm telling you. And only thing is, because those were the days when doctor's son became a doctor. So I was
Uh-huh.
actually pressurized into taking medicine. So that is how I actually got into medicine. But the fact that I was not interested in medicine, so obviously I didn't make much effort to do well in my MBBS. So every exam I used to just virtually, till last day, I didn't know whether I'm passing or not passing. Somehow I used to pass. But it never happened that I scored anything great there at all.
So that's an interesting point. For people who are watching this is the origin story. He was one of the first person in India to bring in radioimmunoassay for hormone assessment. And he says that the roots were laid right there in the first year.
Yes.
Over to you, sir. How did you land up not running the hospital and picking up the subject?
Yes.
pathology?
So when I finished my MBBS, There are all kind of opinions which came. The only way you can make a success out of a hospital is take a surgical line.
Mm-hmm.
So they said you have to take a surgical line. And one subject which I hated maximum in medicine was surgery. I just never liked it. So I thought, to begin with, I said, okay, let me see. Let me try with the subject where the amount of surgery is least.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt the least amount of surgery was in gynec. So I actually did registration in MD gynec.
Oh my God.
And I started with MD gynec in JJ Hospital. I was Dr. Saraya's unit. And then I did 1 or 2 months. And in 1 or 2 months, I realized that this is not my cup of tea. If I had to live my life doing this all my life, I'm going to be totally miserable. So I went and told my father, I said, now, this is not I'm going to do. I have to change. And irrespective of what you say, I'm going to change. He said, okay, but what will you change to? So in those days, the only line which was very, very non-medical like was psychiatry. Because it had no treatment. People used to just sit and talk and give just therapy. So then he said, no, you can't do psychiatry. You do anything else. But then there was nothing else I liked because there was no subject which I liked. So in those days, very particular about not losing a term. So I went around looking in the hospital, okay, which is the branch where the position is going begging, so I don't lose the term. Within 2 months, you are allowed to change to another branch. So the only place where position going begging was pathology, so I landed in pathology.
Oh, that's an interesting start. Well, today, after sitting here with you and the journey that you have had in the last probably half a decade of your life, nobody's going to believe this. And you heard it here. So there's an interesting story we heard, sir, that from a prankster in your young age where you were jumping and hopping off the double-decker buses to hanging around in Tonga, you suddenly landed up and with great zeal, you landed up going to one of the top schools of the country and then you landed up in this whole journey. So what was the thoughts at that time when you were just a small preteen kid in Khetwadi, Mumbai?
Yeah, I think that time I was hardly 6 years old. And as I said, those days, young children in these low middle class areas, the only things which children end up doing is either play hututu or play with those marbles.
Marbles, kanche.
Or do this kind of a thing, okay, go get into the bus, jump from that, tease all those Victoria people so that they used to hit you with those hunter.
Chabuk.
And that is how actually I once fell down. And my leg came under the wheel of the Victoria.
Okay.
And luckily, I did not have a fracture. And within 2 days, once I was jumping down from the bus, after it took off from the station, bus stop, there was a car coming from the left side. Because those days, buses and tram, they used to take from the left side. So the car came from the left side, and I jumped in front of the car.
Oh my God.
And luckily, that fellow came to screech to halt. I was a little hurt, but not much. And as the luck would have it, that car belonged to my father's friend.
That is dangerous then.
He came and told my father, said, what the hell are you doing? Your children are doing what? Then my father said, okay, he's not able to take care of us in Bombay. So he decided he's going to put us in the boarding school. Now that's another very interesting story. If I tell you how we went up, because when he decided he's going to put us in the boarding school, he went around, he took 1 month, 40 days off. And in those days, there were no flights. They were there, but too expensive for a family physician like him. So he took train journey and visited 27 schools across the country to see which is the best for his children.
Okay, now this is the era when there is no internet, there is no Google.
Nothing.
There is no Google review to tell you which school is good and what is where to go. And he did that research at that time.
27 schools he visited in 40 days.
So that tells you the pedigree that how the education is given so much importance in life by parents and that's how things turn in the life of individuals. That's interesting, sir. That's a good thing to understand.
And then after going through all the 27 schools, he felt that Scindia was the best for us.
Mm-hmm. So that's the one in Gwalior. Okay.
So then he wanted to put us in Scindia school.
Well, that is a very tough and very interesting way to understand the life and family values right at the beginning. That was an interesting thing. Was it a good journey, the schooling or?
Yes, school was a very good journey. It was a totally different lifestyle than what I was used to. In Khetwadi, we used to stay in a chawl. It was a low middle class area. And here, most of the children who came were from a very high profile families. I mean, virtually everybody was some industrialist or some minister or somebody's son, So I developed a bit of infinity complex, to be honest, to begin with. But it was an eye opener. I saw the other side of the life, which living in Khitwadi I would have never seen. The how the other people live, how the other people think, what they do. And I think being in that school, and another thing taught me to be self-sufficient, most important. Because there was nobody to take care of you. When I joined, I was 7-year-old. So that time, there is nobody to take care of you. So I think it made me how to take care of myself and how to be independent and how to make sure that you are able to carry yourself. In other words, made you confident. And second thing, which I think I give it to my school is, that they teach you everything. There are all the games which we learn: football, hockey, cricket, tennis. You name the game and you learn. All the hobbies you learn. All the games you learn. All the hobbies and arts you learn. Like art, music, clay model, everything. So I think they teach you compulsory to participate in the elocution and the debate competitions. So they don't leave any side of the life untouched. Everywhere, once you're passed from the school, you're confident to go and even speak on the stage, which otherwise would be frightening, to begin with at that age. So I think, that was a great training. So I would say school played a very important role in my life in later days. Yes.
So you mentioned growing up at the age of 6, 7 in Khetwadi. So if you have to just relive that memories, how was the environment living there? What were the challenges which you thought that people face day in and day out?
Huge number of challenges. Number one, we were taught all the time that when you are walking in your own house, there is to be the pipelines through which the wires is to be going. And don't touch the pipeline. But when children were going hold, and we used to get electrocuted for that.
Oh.
I mean, I must have 3 times it must have happened to me that I got stuck to it and somebody or other came and saved me on that.
Oh.
And particularly during monsoon. Second great memory is we used to have huge, big size rats running all over because two sides of my building were 2 gutters, one on this side, one on this side. And they used to have this big rats.
That was the era when there used to be open sewage system.
Yeah. So we had them running all around. It was a very small flat. I think must not be more than 250 square feet maybe. It had two rooms.
2-room chawl system
plus,
was the Khetwadi's pattern at that time.
Bathrooms were also very poor. We had attached bathroom, not that we had to go out. But still, so not a very pleasant place to live in, no.
So was money ever openly discussed at home, or you had to decode it yourself in your journey of life?
No, I don't think we have ever discussed money. But first and foremost, we didn't have any money at home. And second thing, again, as I said, we were too small for father to discuss money with us. My father was a doctor, my mother was a housewife. So I don't think there was much of a discussion between them about money. So money was not a point which we ever discussed. But my father in those days used to, when we went to the school, he used to earn 1,000 rupees a month. He used to approximately was his income. Out of which in the school, the fees used to be 350 rupees per person, per student per month. So out of 1,000 rupees, 700 rupees used to go in our fees, me and my brother. So that left me with only 300 rupees. And out of those 300 rupees, 100 rupees he used to give to my mother to run the house for the whole month. And she used to crib and crib and crib. And still, she had no choice but to run. He said, I can't give any more, we don't have any more money. And 100 rupees he used to use for running his dispensary, because in those days, you had to dispense. People used to buy the raw material and dispense. So that, plus as a GP, he had to have a car. So to maintain the car. So he used to, 100 rupees he used to run that. And 100 rupees which was saved, he used to keep that as a saving. So when he came back for the holidays, he can give us a good time. So we don't feel that we have come back to the junkyard. So we can have a little better time.
Okay, so, at that point of time, the way he managed his cash flows with such limited resources, but giving priority to your education, your brother's education, and also even whatever small, 10% also he could save again for giving you a
Kept for
better
children.
lifestyle. Yeah. So I guess a lot of sense of cash flow even at that point of time with very limited resources.
Yeah, absolutely.
You beautifully mentioned that you were a reluctant doctor and you had a lot of entrepreneurship inside your thought and in your mind. And in your book that we read, it was an interesting journey how you were inspired by your uncle and various businesses. But once you were inside the medical school, uh, what was the thought and what was those things that inspired you, or what was the plans which are going in your head? And tell us a little more about your journey in the medical college.
See, as I told you, once I joined pathology as in a post-graduation, then again, pathology in those days had only 3 or 4 options. One option was start your own private practice.
Yeah.
Second option was join college as a professor,
Uh-huh.
as a teacher. Third was a join private hospital as a pathologist. And the fourth option was that you join a pharma company as a research scientist.
Mhm.
These are the 4 options available to pathologists. I didn't want to do a job. So 3 out of the 4 options went out of the window. So that left only the private practice. But private practice, again, the way the private practice was being done at that time, I found that it was touching ridiculous, because one of my father's very good friend, he was one of the leading pathologists of Bombay. And my father used to tell me, if you're going to do pathology, why don't you go and spend some time with him? Which I thought was a good idea. So I used to go and spend some time with him. And the more I went, through 2, 3, 4 days I went, and more I realized I cannot do this practice. He said the most important factor is for pathologists to be successful is you have to be available. You have to be available morning, afternoon, evening for your patients and for the doctors, both. So that means, in other words, what he said was, you should be in the lab from 8 in the morning till 8 in the evening. And with my temperament, I cannot sit in one place even for 2 hours. So I said, how am I going to spend my life spending 12 hours a day sitting in the laboratory? And so I said, this is not my cup of tea. I can't do it. And again, those days, the laboratories were so primitive. They were so primitive that I was put off. I said, I don't want to run this. But having said that, that was easy. But then what do you want to do? There's
Correct.
nothing you want to do. Then what else is left after that? So that is where I told you, once you stand around our professors and all, we are talking. So our head of the department of pathology, he was talking, and maybe 3, 4 students were standing around him. So that time he made one statement. He said, the future of pathology is going to be endocrine pathology. That is going to be the future. And that stuck in my mind. I said, this is what I can do. I cannot do any of the other things, but this I can do. So I made my plan. I'm going to go and pursue endocrine pathology in future. Whatever comes the way, I'll go and pursue that. And then I started. So then when I came to, after I did my MD, I realized my bases were very, very weak. Pathology basis, because pathology also I barely passed, In fact, I failed first time, I passed second time. So I barely passed. So I said, now my bases are very weak. And I said, with this kind of practice, I cannot go and start my own laboratory because I'll never be successful. But one good point which I always had was that I could never be number 2. I had to be number 1 in whatever I did. It used to be upsetting for me if somebody said, yes, other person is better than you. I can't stand that. I have to be best in what I do. And I said, with my knowledge of pathology, I'm going to be miserable. I'm not going to be the best because I don't have the knowledge to run a laboratory. So I said, let me do other way around. I said, first, let me join a hospital, work in the hospital as a pathologist for 3, 4 years. And whatever things that I didn't learn as a student, let me learn now. So that is how I started my first job at Camberwell Hospital as a pathologist. And I worked there for 4 or 5 years. In between, I got a chance to go to Cornell for an endocrine pathology fellowship. So I went for that. I finished that, came back. And then I joined Bridge Candy Hospital, also as a head of radioimmunology department, where I started the first radioimmunology in India. I started over there. So that was so because I wanted to learn, because I said I'm not capable of running my own lab. So both the places, only when I became confident after spending 2, 3 years there, that okay, now I can manage on my own without anything. Then I started my lab in 81.
So you mentioned that to learn this further, you went to Cornell. So when at Cornell, anything which was very different, which was very eye-opening to you, what you picked up from your time at Cornell?
See, the department which I joined in Cornell was a research department. It was not a clinical pathology department, research department. So that research department, that time, as I said, radioimmunology was very new. And endocrinology is all about hormones, is all about radioimmunology. In those days, there was no other technique. So I joined that. I joined for 2 years. And of course, one thing is it also taught me to be independent. It taught me that I have to manage everything on my own. And when I say my own, not staying there alone. And incidentally, even that taught me something. Because when I went there, something went wrong and the fellowship which I was supposed to get did not come through.
Oh my God.
So I was left there without any money and I had to fend for myself. And that was another thing which I learned, that how to manage myself for such a long period without money coming in. And those days, even sending money from India to there was very difficult.
Yeah.
Extremely difficult. So it was tough time and I managed that. And the second thing which I think I'm very proud of is when I was there, I knew when I come back to India, there is nothing like radioimmunology in India those days. So I said, whatever I do, I have to do on my own. I'm not going to have any godfather. I'm not going to have any teacher whom I can go to ask what to do. Whatever I do, I have to do it. So I started learning, besides the subject, I also started learning about where to buy what equipment, how to buy, which are the places where you get, how to standardize. All those things, other aspects I learned when I was there. So when I came back here, it was handy for me. When I started my lab at Bridge County Hospital first, and then next at my own lab, it was easy for me because all this knowledge I already had, which I came ready with.
So that was the era where brain drain was the norm. And if you were already there in Cornell and you had a chance to be there and working there, were you not fascinated by thinking about not coming back or picking up a cushy job in a big hospital and not to struggle and start a lab? What were your thoughts at that time?
Very, very tempted. Very tempted. In fact, that was the uppermost thought in my mind at that time. Because one good thing happened. That the dean of Cornell and I had become quite close with him. And he was very fond of me. So he offered me that time that you are doing research pathology, research fellowship in endocrine pathology. I'll convert your research pathology into residency. So as soon as you finish your research fellowship, you can straight away appear for the board exam and become a full-fledged pathologist. So I didn't waste any time. Not only that, he also offered, at that time my wife was visiting there. She was visiting since I was there. She was just visiting for a month. So he even offered, he'll give her a residency in gynec department.
Oh, nice.
Now, those days, Cornell was the number one where medicine was concerned. Now there are many others, but that time Cornell was the number one. And for both of us to be passing out from Cornell, you didn't have to go looking for a job. There were private practice groups. They used to come there and they used to come and plead and request you to join with them. There used to be all the time groups coming there. They used to interview you and say, please join in our group. So it was very tempting to do that. And we were tempted, to be very honest. 2-3 things only it happened. That time we already had one small kid, my elder daughter. She was in Bombay that time when my wife came. Second thing was my father had bought this small nursing home with the absolute sweat and blood of his for me. And I said, now for me to go and settle down in USA after all the effort which he made in doing that would be grossly, grossly unfair. So we decided, we'll go back and we'll start in India. That was the reason.
I think India wouldn't have got the world-class standard laboratories had you decided to stay back in US. So I think a lot of us Indians, actually owe this, that you came back and you've built a world-class institution with more than 98% accuracy in the test since the time you've begun till date. So thanks so much for coming back.
So there's a very interesting quote which has come in your name, that you had actually foreseen and you had actually strategized that in 10 years, I will be the best locally, 20 years nationally, and I will be going international in 30 years' time. So what was that thought and when did it come to your mind?
I think after I did my MD and when I was doing my post at Kamala and Bridge County Hospital, I said, now how do I want to take my life further from here? Today I'm doing 2 jobs. and how do I want to take my life further. And that is the time I said, okay, let me set the goals. And I usually, overconfident in everything. So I said, I must set up goals which are phenomenal, which nobody has thought of doing it. So that is the time I said, okay, I have to be, and I always looked at it as number one only, never looked at number two. So I said, I had to be number one laboratory in Bombay within 10 years' time. Because before that, I had asked some people, and they said, to set up a laboratory for it to succeed and make a name itself 30, 40 years. I said, no, I don't have that much time to wait. I said, I had to make it in 10 years. Then second thing was, it was always my dream to set up a lab which was pan-India. Because those days, pan-India labs did not exist in India. In India, labs were only localized to localized area, not even Bombay. Even that time, we had a lab like Dr. Amin's lab. It's a big lab, but they were again localized in South Bombay. I said, no, I must have a lab which is pan-India. And the third thing is, I had always read up about the international labs. I had occasionally also in the meantime to visit few places. I said, I must have an international lab. So since I had planned, okay, this is what I want to do in my life. So I said, okay, now let me put figures to that. So I said, okay, 10 years, I must have a lab which is going to be number one lab in Bombay. 20 years, my lab has to be pan-India. And in 30 years, I have to be international. So that is how I did it. So then, that time, again, one of my uncles who were there practicing, I went to ask him. I said, I've decided I'm starting the lab. So he said, what do you want to achieve? What do you want to do? I said, this is the plan I've got. Because this 10 years, I want to do this, 20 years, I want to do 30 years. He didn't laugh on my face, but he was still very puzzled by that. He said, how do you propose to do this? I said, well, I don't know how to propose. I do it because that's why I come to ask you. How can I achieve this? So he said, if I knew how to achieve, I would have achieved myself. He said, but the fact is, he said, how is your idea? How are you going to achieve? Are you good at meeting over a lot of doctors who will refer the patients to you? I said, not really. And he said, do you have good number of friends who can refer the patients to you from there? I said, no. Then he said, are you good at giving parties and all to the doctors to bring them in a network? I said, no. He said, are you willing to give financial incentives and all? I said, no. He said, forget about 30 years, 10 years, you'll not be anywhere even after 50 years. Forget about it. And that is what put me down. I said, well, this was a great encouragement from him.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, it doesn't matter. Then I sat and thought myself. I said, okay, this is the goal I set for myself. I have to achieve this. How am I going to do it? If I start a routine lab, no way I am going to be able to achieve this. It's impossible in a routine lab because everybody is doing the same thing. What are you doing different? So that is the first time idea came to my mind. Why not I start this only as a referral lab where you do only specialized tests and no routine labs. But after doing that, I said, will I get enough work? So then that time I went and talked to Dr. R.P. Sunawala, the leading gynecologist of Bombay at that time. So I said, sir, I'm starting these tests and all in the lab. So good. He said, how many patients you can send me? Approximately. How many can you send? Mahina na ek bhi thase. One or two. I guess, send in a month. Then I talked to, there was one very leading cardiologist called Dr. J.K. Mehta in KEM hospital. So I asked Dr. J.K. Mehta, he was a very leading guy. So I said, sir, the thyroid function test, how many samples can you use? You think you will be able to send in a month? So 2, 3, 4 maybe in a month. So I said, now these are the two top guys in Bombay. If they are talking about this, how am I going to run my lab?
Oh my God.
I can't run on 4 samples, 5 samples, 7 samples in a month.
And with an aspiration to be number one in 10 years.
Yeah. So I said, how am I going to do this?
Uh-huh.
So it looked like my idea flopping, So I said, so what I need to do is I need to improve my networking and my base. Instead of depending upon only South Bombay, I had to get more. So then I started calling up all the pathologists in Bombay. And I told them, I said, see, I started a lab here. It's doing only exclusively specialized tests, which you all are not doing. So let's run this as a synergy together. You and I, we run together. I'll do these tests. I'm not doing anything what you are doing. You are, suppose that still as one doctor is in Bhandup. So in Bhandup, you collect the samples and sent to me. So your patients don't have to come to South Bombay to do these tests. You are able to offer it to them there only, and your patients remain with you. And plus, you make a little bit of money out of it. So this idea clicked. Almost all the doctors, they said, yeah, it's a good idea. We can do this. And I had, in no time, I had about 400-500 doctors from Bombay who started referring patients to me, or sampling samples to me. I said, now let me expand this. Still, the workload was not enough. It was still not just enough because radioimmunization is a batch essay.
Yeah, so you have to have so we need to have the number of samples
Correct.
to take care of the batch size.
Absolutely. So it's a volume-based game. I said, now this is not enough still. I said, let me widen my base further. So then I wrote a letter to all the chiefs of Medical Council of India in all the cities. I wrote a letter to every one of them. I said, I have specialized in this radioimmun assay. We are doing new tests. Doctors in your town may not be familiar with this, how it can help you in your diagnosis and treating of the patients. If you all feel fit, I'll come in once, come and give a talk in your medical association meeting. Some people responded, some didn't respond. Some responded, I used to go and give a talk in the medical association to teach the clinicians how these are going to be handy for you for future. And then second thing is I said, okay, now this is fine. Evening, I used to call up all the pathologists and I called them for in the evening at my hotel. And I gave them the same pitch which I gave to Bombay doctors. I'm doing this test in Bombay. Your patients, if they want to do this test, they have to travel to either Delhi or Bombay. Once you start collecting for me and send, your patients remain here. They don't have to travel anywhere. And you are able to offer a big help to the patients. Clicked. So in 1.5 years, 2 years, I had more than 2,000 collection centers across India.
Oh my
brilliant.
God.
For
So
these
what
doctors.
you intended, what people wrote off that you can't do in 40, 50 years, you
Yeah.
put a goal for 10 years.
Exactly.
But the strategy which you used, now it's very commonly called as B2B2C
B2C.
and collaboration. People talk about leveraging on someone's network. So
Absolutely.
you actually, instead of competing with, the players which were already there, you collaborated with them.
I took them in my fold.
Yeah, took them in your fold and cut this short to about a year and a half.
Yeah. Besides this, there was one more point, one more strategy I adopted. And that time there was a trend in Bombay where the pathologists used to go for the visits. Patients insisted pathologists to come in the morning to collect the blood. They will not accept a technician to do it.
Oh my God.
So every morning, pathologists used to go and collect the blood from patients between 5 to 8 morning visits in those days. 8 o'clock, they'll come to the visit to the lab. They sit in the lab and collect blood for all the patients. Because patients also who came there insisted that the blood should be collected by the doctor, not by technician. So he'll sit and collect the blood from morning 11 to 1. Then afternoon, he'll sit and do microscopy, because that time there was a unsaid rule. Okay, all the microscopy has to be seen by the doctors.
Mm-hmm.
And microscopy means what? CBC, urine and stool. That is microscopy. Mm-hmm. Then afternoon, they will collect the blood sample for the PP sugar patients. After that was over, they'll do the balanced microscopy. Evening, they'll spend their time signing the reports. So, 8 se 8 ho gaya time pura. Now, where was the medical work in this? No, nothing.
So what did you do about it?
So I said, okay, let me first save my time. So first thing I did is, I informed all my patients, henceforth I will not be coming for the visit. My technician will come and collect the sample. I said, but if after they come and collect the sample, if you feel that the person who collected the sample was not better than me, all the money will be free.
Yeah.
Test will be free. And you won't believe, I didn't get a single complaint. Not one patient's money I had to return back. Same thing I told the patients to come to the lab. I got this guy, he takes the blood better than me. Blood collection is after all technique, technique anybody can be better. He does it much, much better than me. So why don't you try? They all tried and they got used to it. I used to do the tests. And I had a very senior technician coming in the evening to my lab from Kama Hospital. He used to come and recheck if any results I wanted to be seen for double checking, So what I had seen, I used to tell him, you recheck this in the evening. So I changed the procedure of recheck. I told him, now you see all of them and I will see if there is anything to be seen again. So I cut down my work by 1/10 of microscopy instead of doing all. And similarly, evening it will be report signing. I said, what is there in signing the reports? Nothing. So I introduced electronic signature.
Wow.
So with the result, all the unwanted work which I was doing during the day was out of the window. I was free in the lab. And if you ask my colleagues, pathologists said, no, we don't get a minute free in the laboratory from morning 8 o'clock till evening 8. We are packed. We can't get out to do anything. So I said, now this is the free time I've got. So because I had that free time, I started applying in the hospitals. I'm willing to join as a pathologist. Which I was already there already when I say. Kambala had left because when I started lab, Kambala was to a private lab. So I left that. So I said, I'll join hospitals. So Saifi Hospital asked me to join. Then Harkishna Hospital asked me to join. So I joined. Now the advantage behind that was joining was not to grab everything. But the idea was what when I got these hospitals, that put me in touch with all the doctors who were there in the hospital. And most of these hospital labs which are there, they are very unfriendly to doctors. They act like their own kings of their own.
Monopolistic.
They don't care what doctors want and they don't want. I converted these laboratories into totally doctor friendly. So with the result, all these doctors who were there before, they saw the change. After Sushil has come, the labs have changed to so good. So a whole lot of those doctors, they became my friends. And the outside patients which were there outside the hospital, they started sending to my lab. Those days, because of that, I got a reputation that any hospital, if the lab is not doing well, if they want to improve, they should contact me to improve,
Wow.
Then almost every hospital must have contacted, Bombay Hospital, Jaslo, everybody, all the hospitals, it came to me. Why don't you come and join me as a consultant, this, that. It came because that is a reputation which I got. And then, as if one more thing which I did that time in 1988, I joined Dr. Reddy's laboratories, which was the pharma company at that time. Not only on the board of directors, but they had a pharma company. They had another company called Standard Finance Equity Fund, which had 4 divisions: finance division, computer division, keyboard division, and a diagnostic division. So I became director of that company. So I used to spend 15 days in a month in Hyderabad, 15 days in a month in Bombay. And when I was in Bombay, I had to finish my own lab. I had to go to Harkishan Das, Saifi, and Bridge Candy. They were all major labs, visual labs.
Yeah.
So I used to do all 4 there, only in 15 days. And 15 days I was not there only in Bombay. That was the best part, And still I managed that without a single complaint from any doctor in any hospital from 88 to 97. So 9 to 10 years, there was not a single complaint against me in any of these hospitals. अरे pathologist तो होता ही नहीं है कभी यहाँ पे. Not one complaint ever came. Same thing in my lab when nobody ever complained, don't send to him because he's not there.
So I think so many strategies you worked on simultaneously, which is time management. Like you saw how pathologists were investing their time into so many things which could be easily outsourced. So in today's era, it's called as whatever non-core activities, if you can delegate or outsource and focus on something which is core. So way back, I guess about 30 years back, you did that, what we learn in management schools today.
Yeah.
And I think most of the founders are being trained to actually understand where should they invest their time. And also, like you rightly said, that you went and turned around systems, understood the pain points of the doctors in these large hospitals with the path labs, and then actually went ahead solving that pain points. And so you created a very differentiated brand for yourself while working in those hospitals, which indirectly also helped Metropolis at that point of time. So Dr. Shah, what led to rebranding Dr. Sushil Shah's laboratories to Metropolis?
See, the reason when in 94, 95, once I sat down and thought, okay, my idea was to go pan-India. I wanted to go by 2000 and I'm stuck doing so many things which are irrelevant. Irrelevant means they are not connected. Now what am I doing? But the idea was that now everything had stabilized so well. I was doing so well at all these places. I was getting good amount of money also from these places. And more important, it was giving me recognition. How many doctors do you know who are on the board of directors of pharma company?
Right.
It was a unique
Unheard
honor which I had.
In 90s.
So now to give up all that, and even the hospital, how many doctors do you know who are also pathologists at a major hospital and running their own laboratory? Give me one example. Hey, nahi. And I was running 3 major hospitals.
Right.
So it was such a unique thing. Everything was running smoothly. So for me to give up that was becoming very difficult. I mean, it's in life very difficult. But then I took a decision. I said, no, I have to give up to achieve my aim because 2000 is coming. I have to start. So when 96, I decided, okay, 95, I decided I'm going to give up these. It took me a year to give up everything because each had a plus minus points. So by 97, I gave up all the things. So then after that, I said, okay, now if I'm going to go pan India, Dr. Sushil Shah's lab looks like a very personalized thing. It doesn't have an aura of a industry or a tech. Of course, on the other hand, I was also thinking, I worked for Dr. Reddy's labs. He was Dr. Reddy's only.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it was not that, it was something very unique. But I felt that, having a neutral name makes a lot of sense. And second thing, what was happening? Okay, what happened? Okay, when my lab name was Dr. Sushil Shah Lab, so people who call up, the only name they know is Dr. Sushil Shah. They ask for my name. Okay. And then if I'm not there, they are disappointed. We called up, the doctor is never there. So that was also going counter. I said, if I got a neutral name, then they'll talk to the person who is there. They won't bother about me. So these are the two thoughts behind why I said I'll change the name. And then I changed. And then I asked my wife, she's good at all these things, I asked her, what is the new name we can put? So she suggested two names, Metropolis or Metropolitan. I thought Metropolitan was a little long, so we put Metropolis, and that's how it came. That's how we put the name.
If any regional laboratory today intends to scale up, so what would your advice to them be? Like, what should they keep in mind before scaling up?
See, to scale up, God has given us two hands and two legs. How much can you scale up with them? You can't.
Yeah.
How much will you do? So you have to have capable team to come and help you in scaling up. Without a team, you cannot scale up. Simple. Dhruv Ambani was once asked this question. Okay, you have got so many great qualities because of which you have achieved what you have achieved, in spite of being, you're not even a non-matriculate, So how did you achieve that? He said, what do you consider as your single quality which helped you to reach this level? The answer he gave was, I knew how to make my team. I knew how to choose the right people. So same thing here. If you want to scale up, scaling requires time, effort, energy, money, and skill set and manpower. You cannot do it alone. You have to develop a team.
Right.
But unfortunately today, most of the doctors, they think nobody else can do what they can do. So they just don't trust other people. So you have to trust people, bring them. Sometimes you may go wrong, but ultimately, unless you have people around you on whose shoulder you can go up, you cannot go up. If you have to climb a 15 feet high wall, how will you climb?
Yeah.
You need two people below you to climb. You cannot climb otherwise.
Yeah. Right.
So I feel making a team, depending upon the team, is very important.
Okay, I think a lot of time doctors have this insecurity that if I hire people and I train them and then they leave, then whatever are my best practices, they also leave.
Right.
So how did you rise above these insecurities which generally people have, particularly in the medical fraternity when they are scaling up?
Well, I also had, to be honest, not that I didn't have, I had, but you should take a chance. I said, if somebody leaves, fine, but you should have confidence in your own capability. If somebody leaves, I can still have other people.
Okay.
I can choose other people, but for that you cannot not take and not go up only. Then how will you go up? That's the point.
Exactly. So it's a
First you have to go up, and then all these possibilities come.
Right. So it's a constant process of building that talent. Always,
Yes.
if people leave, but you still have a talent pool of people who can take things forward. So, Dr. Shah, you've consistently maintained your focus on quality. And while you are scaling up, branching out, it's so difficult where doctors find it, where they are personally present, they can control quality. But when they are branching out to so many cities, now so many countries, how can you maintain such high standards of quality even while branching out and handling the scale?
That is where the systems come into play. What are the systems that you have developed? What are the accreditations you got? What is accreditation after all? Accreditation is the one which gives you the systems.
Right.
You have to follow these systems, then your laboratory is perfect.
Right.
So if you're going for accreditation, you have to first set up the systems. And we have made a model for systems which we uniformly implement in all the centers.
Right.
So that is how we are able to manage. So we are not individual dependent, we are system dependent.
Right.
what he was earlier saying.
Yes.
So then you can spread it around.
Right.
If you are individual dependent, then of course if one individual is not, is gone.
Right.
It won't go.
Right. So one key ingredient for scale up is building that systems and
Yes,
processes
first.
which can be replicated over and over again, but
Absolutely.
still maintain that quality standards which you already known for. So I have in 2000s, I worked with a life insurance company, and we had these ultra HNIs who would want to go for a test. And unanimously, only one laboratory we would choose would be Metropolis. So the underwriting team, the reinsurers, everybody believed in the reports of Metropolis more than any other lab. So I can understand the quality what we are talking about today. Even 2 decades back, I've personally been one of the consumer and witness the kind of quality when I was working with an insurance company. So, Dr. Shah, any particular mindset traits which you feel that you thought very differently, or there were certain uh, traits or certain way you thought which was very different from what generally doctors think? If some particular things you can share.
I think one of the best example I can give is our venturing out in international market. Okay. Now nobody in India ventured out into international market as early as I had a thought of doing it as early as I did in that time. I mean, I had nothing. That time I was thinking. So the point why I thought of doing it is I felt that the way we run the lab, I knew that the charges and all which are there in USA and other places, I used to visit there. I said we use the same reagents, we use the same machines, we use the same skilled staff. We also have staff is reasonably well skilled, compared to this. I worked in the labs there. So I know. And still, say for example, the common thing, thyroid function test. The thyroid function test in no US laboratory, you will get it for less than $30 to $50. In India, we are going for $5 with the same things. So obviously, we learn to do things at a right price and the right way. So I said, if we have got this skill set, why can't we apply this internationally and become a success?
Right.
If I just duplicate this over there, I can be roaring success. Today, if I start a lab in USA, and if I start doing it $5, I think I'll shut out and equally good quality and equally good same systems.
Right.
I'll shut those people down, yeah.
Right. Right. I think lot of time today's founders, they travel the world. Something which is working in the world, they come and implement in India. And in those days, you were so ahead of your times that you thought about taking something which is made in India and taking out in the world, and basically making Metropolis the international brand which it is today. I think a lot of founders and particularly doctors and medical practitioners have to learn that when you excel at doing what you're doing, it's not just the local competition, but you can actually go ahead and venture out internationally and probably look at maybe price, quality, differentiation on both the price as well as the quality. So I get great insights on thinking so radically.
So now I want to ask you about a little bit of number crunching. That in the journey when you started off, and the journey when you started off as an individual, starting from the kind of frugal background that you had, then starting your own lab, and then scaling it up to a metropolis, and then going with one of the most popular, successful historical IPO. So how did you manage your finances through the journey of this whole life? When it comes to business ventures and the funding for the business, was it personal? Was it you had someone angel investors, or was it from the market? How did you manage it?
See, till 2004, when we first got in ICICI Venture as a partner into our company. So right from 81 to 2004, I've not borrowed a single penny anywhere, whether banks, anywhere. I've never borrowed a single penny. I've just managed everything with my own funds. Even the earlier acquisitions which I did, we did with our own funds. In the Indian market, when I started, first I started by labs at Jaipur, Chennai and Hyderabad. When I took local partners, we started with our own money.
Right.
Initial 2 acquisitions also we did with our own money. It's only in 2004 that we actually started borrowing money. We got the money from the partners which came in.
Okay, so you ran such a big venture, being bootstrapped for almost 20 years, more than 20
Yeah,
years.
easily. And the reason for that is because I used to uh, only do which I can afford. I will not go and try to do things which are beyond. Anyway, nothing came about. It never happened that I wanted to do something which I couldn't do because of money. Nothing like that ever happened.
Could
But
you have scaled up a little earlier if you would have used funding as an earlier option?
now this is the argument which I have had with my daughter all the time. When I said no, when you asked me the first question, okay, what do you think of these 8,800 crores? I said we should have been 18,000 crores. Okay, this argument directly goes in that. Suppose I had not gone and spread myself so thin into all these different things. And suppose what I did in 2000, if I had started doing from 1990, maybe it would have been 18,000 crores today.
Right.
So I spread myself into so many other activities, and all the activities which are somebody else's, not mine.
Right.
Instead, if I had concentrated, but that's me. My temperament is such I need to do multiple things together.
Yeah.
One thing just going, it doesn't interest me.
So this brings us to the interesting segment where we, in our podcast, many times we ask this question that in your journey, this amazing journey that you have had, you must have come across some extremely influential people. And when we go through the book, a lot of who has written in the whether it was the foreword or whether it was a prelogue for your book. So have you come across some people and some influences that you had from those people in the journey of your life, which you can remember as anecdotes?
Only person I can think of is Dr. Anji Reddy.
Dr.
Anji Reddy.
Okay.
Dr. Reddy is
chairman
who started the founder. He was master at underplaying, and he could win over anybody. If he decides he wants this person, he'll see to it, he'll get it. He had such a neck for him to himself. Unbelievable. And he knew how to retain people on his own. So I think he's one person I admire a lot.
That's
I think
interesting.
very interesting. Yeah. Dr. Reddy's own journey is pretty inspiring. So, Dr. Shah, we at FINNOVATE, work with a lot of doctor families, and like you are making people physically fit by, coming up with this test, which are so accurate. We are helping doctors become financially fit. So, in your journey of managing your finances, any particular money mistake which you felt you made and which you would advise your fellow doctors and colleagues to avoid?
I think putting money into ventures about which you don't know anything is a mistake, always.
Okay.
Because you're depending upon somebody and you put money into those ventures. And if that person doesn't turn out to be right, then you're lost completely. And I think that is what happened to me. I put money in as a venture where I trusted somebody who's expert in that. He misfired and we have some trouble.
Okay.
So I think except for that, I have never had spare money to invest, to be honest. Because whatever money I used to go back. Because I told you I never took a bank note.
Yes.
So obviously whatever we earned is to go back into upgrading the laboratory. So I can't remember any time when I had some amount of money sitting which I could think of investing. But whatever little we had and was there, and our time, at least in 80s and 90s, I think the main thing in which people used to be property, and I put in property.
Right.
So any interesting tips that you can give when it comes to financial hygiene or financial discipline to the young doctors looking back at your life and your journey of this financial growth?
I think this is my absolutely favorite topic.
Yeah.
I feel doctors shortchange themselves completely in life. What is the doctor's journey? When they're young, they somehow or other collect money or whatever way, and they start their clinic or start their practice, struggle through that. Maybe tomorrow go and buy a car, and maybe first they'll hire a flat, and then they'll buy a small flat, and then they'll probably go to a bigger flat, and then they'll go to a bigger car.
But that's what everybody does nowadays.
No, agreed. But the point is, what after that? Where have they made? And then what happens? They reach the peak. Doctors usually reach the peak, unlike others who reach the peak at 35, 40. Doctors reach the peak at 55, 60.
Right.
And after that, the doctors fall down starts. And once that fall starts, by 65, 70, the fall is quite steep. And by 70, 75, it's completely non-existent. And then either no doctors retire anyway. They continue, but they continue and without making any money. So after they die, what have they earned? What have they left? The only thing they live is the flat where they are staying and the clinic where they practiced is what they actually live for the family.
Right. So it's just the real estate which is left.
Nothing
behind.
else is left for the family. ये दो चीज खाली छोड़ के जाते हैं उसके लिए और कुछ नहीं. Now what I say is, here is a doctor who has spent 20, 30 years of his life developing a practice, reaching the pinnacle at whatever time that they did, and they made a certain brand equity for themselves.
Right.
What happened to the brand equity?
Right.
It's gone. Now, any other branch of life you see, brand equity has got a value, no?
Right.
Anything you see.
Yes.
In doctors, there is no value.
Right.
Now, what is the reason? There's only one reason. To make a brand, you have to convert yourself into an institution.
Right.
Whatever practice that you developed, unless you convert that into some kind of an institution, which will remain after you, it is going to be a total non-starter.
Right.
So with the result, what happens is all these people, they don't. Now, only the doctors who have gone now, people say, oh, but practice, I'm operating. Somebody else may not do operate so well. And this is hogwash. Now look at Naresh Trihan. He's the first person who could have said, hey, nobody can operate like me. He's gone and made a Medata Institute. Right. Look at Devi Shetty. He's gone and made it. These are surgeons, individual skill set. How they've done it. So I feel any doctor who reaches a certain level must convert his practice into a institution.
That's a brilliant take-home message. I think this was the biggest takeaway from this whole session.
So I think unless you do that,
it inspired me absolutely. And I think this is something. So we should not just. So your statement was so hard-hitting that a doctor lives all his life, creates his brand value, creates systems and processes and practices, but at the end he leaves behind just a property. And not even the valuation of the business is given to him. It's just the property of the clinic or the nursing home which he gets. And not even the brand value of the practice.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the biggest take-home messages. Brilliant, sir.
I think...
truly inspiring.
I think in our journey of FINNOVATE, when we are meeting a lot of doctor families, we literally insist that you separate your personal finance and your business finance. And you really institutionalize your practice. Whatever big and small, it doesn't matter. But once you institutionalize, you have either an LLP.
It should continue to generate income for you in future. Yeah?
Exactly. So
that is important.
If you give it a name or a brand, like you rightly said, from Dr. Sushil Shah, it was Metropolis. So if every doctor really goes about first creating a brand and then converting the practice into an LLP or a private limited, which can perpetually run.
No, you can private limited, take two small junior partners.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, one of my friend in Trenton in USA, he did this. He was a very successful physician there in Trenton. And he also partnered in two of the hospitals there. But anyway, so when he decided now he wants to not continue the rat race in which he was, he took a junior partner. He told the junior partner, you are 50% partner. Who gives 50% to a junior partner where his role is zero? But he gave him 50%. He said, you are 50% partner. And as years go by, your stake will go, you are my 50%, I'll sell to you.
Right.
So he did 2 to 3 things. The only thing he asked was, okay, I'll give you 50%. Only condition is, I'm entitled to take 6 months leave. And you are entitled to take only 1 month leave the way usually it goes. So I'm entitled to take 5 months more. Against that, I'm giving now for any newcomer, it's a God-sent gift.
Opportunity, yes.
And for him, he wanted to now relax and see the world. So he got 5 months time free without it affecting his practice.
Right. And he's still having 50% share in...
Then after about 5 years or 6 years, when he decided he doesn't want to do it, he sold his 50% stake to him.
Right.
So he made that money then He continued to make the money here, and he got what he wanted.
A good work-life
Exactly.
balance.
Yeah, good work-life balance.
Well,
And
I'm
even
so
at the
glad.
end,
I'm so glad we did it
yeah,
today
no,
because I started from Dr. Gupta's nursing home, made Lenest, and with help of Nehal, I started and created a private limited company. And actually, I'm so happy that I had this conversation with you because I can see that all those decisions are falling in place. That's an interesting way to look at.
and you like rightly said that your friend could monetize that 50% with a higher value. So it's not that you're just sharing profits.
No,
But
otherwise
when
it dies down, yeah.
Exactly.
At 75, you have finished, you don't get one patient, it's gone.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Then
end
it's
of the
just the real estate which is left. So I think very, very valuable lesson to every doctor who's listening, that building the brand and the systems processes, together with it, separating the personal and the business finance, and also institutionalizing what you're doing is very important, because that will help you unlock a lot of value when that downfall will start. And you will not be just left with real estate, but you will be able to monetize your practice and your brand.
Others are going to carry your legacy.
Exactly.
Yes. With this legacy, it brings me to a very interesting thought. So we say that an individual starts with a lag phase and a growth phase and then a maintenance phase, and then there is a decline. But in this journey towards the legacy, one very interesting thing is that what you leave behind you. And what I see in the journey that you have done is that concept of Medengage program. Can you throw some more light about how did you start thinking about this Medengage program and that values of how to give back to the medical fraternity and the community at large?
Yeah, actually, when I was in first MBBS, there were two students from Jain College who joined with me in the college. Both came from poor family, and they both got admission on merit in the college. And they were both very good students.
In the medical college?
After they got admission in the medical college, I met them. Somehow I came to know they both left the college. So I met them after. I said, what happened? He said, no, we have no money to, even Grand Medical College, the fees are not much. Books are not that expensive, but they didn't have that money also.
Oh, good Lord.
And more important, the family said, you have to start earning. You can't be sitting in the medical college learning for 5 years. Who will earn the money here? So after getting the admission, they both left the seat and they went back. And that gave me a lesson. I said, what about these people? These people could have been brightest of those doctors. They were such good students, both of them. And look what has happened. Today, they are floundering as a clerk in some institution. So that is the time I said, these are the people who have to be helped. So I thought when we decided, when we had this CSR funds, when we went to IPO and the CSR funds came, I said, one of the things let's do something. Nobody does anything for the medical fraternity. We all go and do this charity, that charity, but who does anything for the doctors, yeah? Or the medical fraternity? Nobody's doing anything. The first thing I did is this, that we started a scholarship. Any economically backward students who get the admission and who do not have the money to pay the fees, and the books, we'll pay for it for the whole 5 years.
Wow.
So that is the first thing which we started. Then we said, what are the other things which we need to improve in this damn college, So second thing which I felt was, what happens, doctors are one community who never earn any accolades. They never get any prizes for, in MD, for example, you got thesis. Now we have instituted an award. Whoever has got an outstanding MD thesis or an original or MD outstanding one, they'll be getting an award. An award is 1,25,000 rupees. It's not a small award. We are paying to them. And whoever has got the original idea of writing the thesis, while writing, it requires a lot of pathology testing, a lot of other expenses. We pay for it. So now we are offering all the people who want to take pathology, we are offering them a free internship program in our labs where they can actually come and spend 20 to 30 days and see for themselves what a lab is like and whether they would like to pursue pathology. Then they can take the decision. So they actually see with their own eyes and they work with their own these things to see whether is this what we want to go further.
So if a 35-year-old doctor who's running a clinic would come to you for advice, what are 2 or 3 top advices you would give the doctor?
I won't give 3, I'll give only 1. Institutionalize. Make a practice into a brand equity.
Right.
and make it grow. Because as I said, okay, one person has two hands. How much can he do two with hands? Now, so today he had a surgery. Suppose he had three surgeries, what would he have done?
Right.
You would have let go one, particularly if there's cesarean and you require in time. You have told somebody else to do it.
Yes.
Here, if you've got your own team, you can do all three. So if the important thing is, again, make a team. Don't think you are indispensable. Okay, without you, nothing can happen in this world. Encourage other people to come up to your level. Make them try to follow you, what you're doing. Give them encouragement, and I think they'll deliver. So I think same thing. Make a team.
Right. Okay.
Because without that, there is no go. Single-handed, how much will you do? There's nothing much you can do.
Right. So
It's
training
bound
people.
to die down. I think it cannot go further.
Right. So I think the best advice to doctors would be training people, not only doctors, but everyone in the chain who's important for you to grow and still free
Train
up your
them, give
point.
them opportunities to grow financially.
Right.
Give them opportunities to grow independently along with you.
Right.
See, people look forward for 2-3 things. People, if they're reluctant to, they want to join. Why? One thing, of course, everybody wants good money. Second thing, everybody wants some independence of working. And third thing, everybody wants a good name. Okay,
Recognition.
they should also get a name.
Recognition.
Everybody should not say, oh, this fellow's assistant.
Yeah. Right.
By joining as a partner, you get all three.
Right.
But joining as assistant, you don't get.
Right.
You get none of the three. So what I am saying is, encourage people to join as a partner, not as your colleague or assistants.
Right. Great. So in today's modern world of corporates and startups, we call it as a employee stock option, the ESOP program, where you have all employees who are actually joining as stakeholders of the business.
So now we're going to this rapid fire, small, quick answers. So your father made you a doctor because he was a doctor. So you did not choose to do that?
No.
Why?
I think one mistake in the family was enough. I didn't want to repeat the same thing again.
Yeah.
No wonder.
We left them absolutely open. We said, both of you decide what you want to do. Elder one was keen to become a doctor. She became a doctor. Elder daughter is a doctor. She's a pathologist, by the way.
Okay.
Oh.
She's in Miami. The second one decided not to become a doctor. He said, don't become a doctor. That's fine. Each one choose your own thing, because I think it's very, very important in life to do what you enjoy. Doing gives you the joy in life. If something is forced on you, it doesn't give you. And this is the best example is when you get up on Monday morning, you decide, do you look forward to going for work, or you don't feel like? There's 99% people don't look forward. I'm definitely one of the 99%. And I didn't want them to be the same. So I said, you all decide between them. And they decided.
So Dr. Shah, was it easy scaling Metropolis or raising two wonderful daughters?
I think for me, raising Metropolis was far easier, because doctors, my wife took care of them so well. I didn't have much of a problem. I think in our family, I think raising children has been absolutely no problem, because they have been so good, both of them. That's why I said the whole family as such. Usually people have some issues in the family. We just don't have an issue, very frankly.
So what were some certain family values which you feel that the bonding was like this, or certain principles which you followed while, the reason why everybody is so successful today?
Yeah, I think one thing is we trusted them a lot. We allowed them to do what they wanted to do. We never did care. Girls are there, 15-year-old means you cannot go out, you must be home by 8 o'clock. We never did that.
Okay.
Your favorite lab equipment in your setup?
Favorite lab equipment?
Yeah. That one test machine which you always feel that this is what I enjoy.
I don't know about myself. I don't enjoy any of the instruments. And none of them is my favorite.
One great skill every medical entrepreneur should have.
Medical entrepreneur? 2.
Yeah.
I think without those 2, you can't do anything.
Yeah.
First is, of course, ambition. Unless you got ambition to achieve something. If I didn't have the ambition, I want to reach in 10 days, I would have never reached. As simple as that. The first thing is the ambition to excel and go beyond the boundaries. And second is the vision. How you are going to achieve that ambition. these two. I always say for a good entrepreneur, you require 4 qualities. In a successful entrepreneur, one is these two: uh, ambition, vision.
Vision.
Third is the planning,
Mhm.
and the fourth thing is execution.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
These 4 things you have. If all 4 are there, then venture becomes successful.
Right.
If one is also lacking, venture does not become
Yes,
successful.
exactly.
Now, for an entrepreneur, the first 2 are compulsory. The ambition and the vision has to be there, yours. Other 2, if you don't have, you can hire people.
Uh-huh.
You don't have to have all the 4 skill sets yourself.
Right.
You have 2 is enough. Third and fourth, you can hire. If you get good people, they can do equally good job for you.
So when your daughter decided to come back to India and join you, and you were a pathologist, with a medical background, and one of your daughters was already a pathologist from the medical background, but the one who was not a pathologist and not from any medical background, she decided to come and work with you in Metropolis. So how did you go about really inducting her in the business and training her to today take Metropolis to these great heights?
Well, the first is my elder daughter, who is a pathologist, who is there. She did not come back and join Metropolis. She wanted to. She did not because she decided to get married there. And her husband is a radiologist there. He is born and brought up there. So obviously she had to stay behind. So she had no choice but to stay behind and raise a family and come up there. Younger daughter, when she came and she joined here at the age of 23, obviously she didn't know much about the laboratory because she had been away for 10, 15 years. And she didn't know, she's not a science graduate. So what I told her is, I think it's for people to respect you. 2 things I told her. First thing I told her is she said when she joined, she said, "Dad, take me to everybody. Introduce me to everyone, so that I know everyone." I said, if I do that, they will not respect you because they'll think here is the owner's daughter has come and she's come to sit over them. So instead, you go and introduce yourself and tell them, I've joined here. Because if I take you and introduce, it will be resented. So I think that was the right thing, and she went to introduce herself, and it was something which was accepted very well. And second thing I said, for you to people to respect you, you have to be better than them. And the only way you can be better than them is if you learn everything what they know. I said the only way you can learn that is if you rotate in all the departments of the laboratory. So I put her in every department of the laboratory. She worked for 2 to 3 months in every department. And I told the head of the department that at the end of the 3 months, I want your certificate saying, okay, she's as good as me now. She can replace me in the department. Then I'll put her in another department. But if you feel that she's not as good as you, then she'll repeat 2 more months there. So that 1.5, 2 months, years, she worked in every department. That is why she's so thorough. And she knows inside out about the laboratories. And believe it or not, at that time when she was working only as an intern, stipend. She was getting a stipend of 5,000 rupees compared to she was earning $75,000 in Goldman Sachs. She was getting 5,000 rupees per month or year. But I think that is what made her absolutely thorough. Today she can stand in front of any pathologist and she can talk to them on one-to-one basis about any business, any subject on that.
That's an interesting thing for all those people who have not been able to get enough of him. And I know that this has been an amazing journey of the last few, let's put it, last hour and a half. But one thing I want to tell you is that there is much more than just this 1.5 hours of interaction that we had. If you want to know more, this is a lovely book which I found amazing when I read through this. Dare to Make a Change. This is a journey of Dr. Sushil Shah. Various aspects, right from a small person from Khetwadi to the person who made Metropolis what it is today, with some beautiful statement. I'm going to read something out for people to understand. This is what Deepak Parekh, the chairman of the HDFC, HDFC chairman, he says, Dr. Sushil Shah has built a stellar reputation over the past 4 decades by revolutionizing the pathology industry in India. Of very humble beginnings from Khetwadi, Mumbai, in a country of hundreds of thousands of doctors, he is one of a handful to have founded an institution that is respected across India and several other countries, based on a strong principle of always doing the right for the patient. The confidence in himself to take risks, comfort to be contrarian, and humility in front of all makes him stand out. Read more about him if you want to know more. It was a good journey, sir. I would want it to be personalized, and I need your signature on this, sir.
Sure. Thank you.
Autograph.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shah, for your time. And I am sure all the fellow doctors and colleagues have a lot to learn from your journey. Personally, as a mother of a 7-year-old and as a woman entrepreneur trying to scale my venture, I think this is the best time that I met you and I learned so many things personally from you. And I'm sure a lot of doctors out there would have a lot to learn from you. So all over
Thank
to you,
you
Dr.
so much.
Mukesh.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot,
I think this has been an amazing interaction, and no wonder that you have reached this far, whether it is to do with your personal background where you learned things from the family, whether it was to carry forward your zeal to do something better and new and always be first, whether it was accepting the fact that even if you are thrown into a place which was not a comfort zone, but still you came out with flying colors for the history to remember, whether it was your humility, the way you handle things and handle people, and the way you created the whole organization and the culture behind it, whether it was starting as an extremely naughty young preteen kid to a person who is an absolute disciplinarian, whether it is being a strong tyrant, as you use the word, or allowing your whole team to flourish, including the next generation of your family and the leaders in the organization. This is a lesson to learn. This is exactly what Medical Monarch stands for. This is exactly what all of us as medical entrepreneurs need to know. And one tip which she will bring with us forever for a very, very long time is we as doctors need to learn to institutionalize and not just live with skills that we learn and die with, but leave behind a brand equity for years to come behind us. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks a lot for being here. And I think this is an amazing journey. Thank you so much.